Hi guys, welcome to Windsome Cottage Garden. My name is Hannah and I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. We're in the city garden and it's a hot one. It has been quite warm. I got back from the cottage a couple days ago and it's been in the 90s here with heat indexes more like mid-high 90s all week. And I guess it was like that while I was gone too because things got a bit crispy. Now I'm really grateful that we had installed and turned on my irrigation system before we left, but I don't irrigate my lawn. That's done something that I do manually, and it's looking really rough. I think it might be shot for the year. Usually it doesn't look like this until like August, but I think the high temperatures combined with the fact that we haven't had rain in such a long time. The only time it's rained recently is when we were mulching and it spit for a few seconds and heavy misted. I don't even think the pavement got fully wet. But I can't remember outside of that the last time it rained. Now I've said that, and I just checked the weather. It is like 7:40ish at night, and it's 86 degrees. But it might rain for 10 minutes in about an hour, which I don't really know. It's not going to cut the heat. It's just going to make it humid. So I'm not really looking forward to that. But today I thought that I would get a couple of things planted before I head back up to the cottage. So normally I do a number of different videos on this, but I'm just in get it in the ground mode. So what I thought I'd do is bring you along as we create a couple different projects and then show you what they look like up close. This might be like a part one type thing because I'm missing a couple plants that I need to really fill out the containers that I'm going to be putting stuff in. So we're going to film this. I need to get it in the ground and get it watered so I can leave it here and it's maintained, but I might shift things in a new video. We'll just kind of have to see how it all ends up. First thing we're going to do is actually plant some succulents that my mom got me for my birthday in an arrangement. Now, I've actually done this before. This is one that we put together last year in a video that I'll link below. It's looking a tiny bit scorched right now, as you can see. It normally sits on my coffee table, which is black. And over the weekend when it got up quite warm, I hadn't watered it as much as I typically would because it had been cool. And normally the rain waters this. I only kind of water it once in a blue moon because it doesn't need a lot. It kind of was planted and I left it. So it's got a little scorched. I did give it a really nice watering, and it's some of its color. Sorry, the cottonwood trees are really seeing fluff around me, which is annoying. But it's really just kind of lived its life and has looked really great. It overwintered in this container. When the coffee table goes into storage for the season, I actually just kind of tuck it into a protected area alongside my chives. This is what it looks like. Now I will show you that there's one plant that is alive but just hasn't come back quite as nicely. I believe this was something other than this, but I can't quite recall. I think there is one other type of sempervivum that is not represented as well, and I think there was one more that I think is this that was more purpley that didn't come back quite as well, but I am pleased as punch with how this has come together, so much so that we're doing it again. Now, I bought this at Home Goods. You may have seen it in the background of videos. This is a bit of a risk. The previous arrangement I showed you was a bowl I specifically bought because it's considered shatterproof. I don't know what that means, other than I think there's some engineering involved. This, just saw it at Home Goods and thought that would make a beautiful hardy succulent arrangement. So I'm going to take the risk. It wasn't that expensive. Like I said, I don't water these a lot. There shouldn't be a ton of moisture in there. So I'm hoping in a protected area over the winter, I get a couple years out of this arrangement. Now, I bought these at a garden center up north. Actually, the same place we bought the iris we planted in a recent video. And some of these are chick charms, which are hardy in my area. Some of them are labeled, but they don't tell me if they're hardy. However, these were all in the hardy succulent area. So I'm thinking they're hardy. We're going to take a risk. Not all of them are going to come back, but that just means I get to pop in a few new things next year. What I do with all these, I just use a potting mix. I know you can use better draining stuff. I do, since this only gets watered by the rain, like to use a regular potting soil. And I'm just gonna dive in. She is done and looking quite full and beautiful. Now, when you're doing sempervivum succulents, you can really pack them in. These are all hardy, so they could live in this container for a number of years. This is one, I don't really know how to say that, Siboldi Medovalargaritium. I so hope that this is hardy, because is this not just beautiful with the variegation and the slightly orangey pink stem? I love them all. We've got some stone crop. This is a sun sparkler plum, which it'll get a little bigger. I could probably move that out into the landscape sooner rather than later, but I'm going to enjoy it in this beautiful bowl for a year. We've got some different hens and chicks that I bought in trios because that seemed a little more economical. And then just some green leaf sedum and lantus sedum as well. So lots of different things in here. I'm just going to live on this table. These guys won't live next to each other. This one will live here, and then that one will live on the coffee table where some plants we're going to be using later in this video are. But I'm just so pleased with how it turned out. You may have noticed that a couple babies popped off. I have just popped them into the soil. Most of them will probably take. I also went and gathered a couple of hens and chicks that I had attempted to fill this odd little cutout with. And as you can see, the grass won. So I'm going to think of something new, get something a little bit better there, and have saved the couple hens and chicks I could find to also stick in here. I do think long term it would be really cool to do something over here with hens and chicks and sedum, kind of like a complement continuation of the rock garden, which the Mexican primrose is starting. So they're kind of at their highest, and it's also at the point that I don't feel like I want to pull them, because this is why they are here. The whole point is pretty soon these pink flowers will cover this whole ridge area. Can't wait. You can actually see our next project. I'm gonna go get that hibiscus planted, though I do want to note the Miss Kim are in bloom, as is the salvia. Oh, gonna love that there. And the heritage iris, I actually missed the first blush. The problem when it's so warm is that things are really just over and done with in a snap. These didn't even have flower stalks when I left, and then I came back and missed the first bloom. The banshee iris in the front are basically done, though there's a couple things when we go plant the window box up there I want to make sure I show you, because they're looking pretty good. And oh, I wish you could smell the Miss Kim lilac. They're not my favorite. These were at this property when I moved in, and I do love lilac. Personally, I love the common lilac with those giant panicles more. Miss Kim are a little smaller. In a yard like mine, which is, 6,300 square feet, we love the dwarf lilac. It smells so good. But a couple things I want to point out, and my reason for my this iris is not one of our Shriner iris. I don't know what it is. I purchased from an online company a lot of 8 iris rhizomes 3 years ago. I only had 3 come back, and this was one of them, and it's never bloomed. So it looks yellow. I don't remember yellow being one of them, but I'm so excited to see it, and I'm glad it's blooming finally. I'll give you a sneak peek over here too. We had some frost damage while I was gone, so not only do we have heat damage, we had frost, which took out all of the cherry brandy rudbeckia, but you may have noticed that the dahlias didn't skip a beat. They probably are loving this heat, and they're just popping out of the ground left and right. A couple of my houses are looking really rough. I do want to do, I already told you the lawn's looking awful. I do want to do a tour, but for my own sanity, do some yard cleanup before I do that. So there will be a tour coming soon. I don't think the lilac will be here. Oh, and my rhodio's blooming too. It's actually already blooming out, but it's smelling so good. And I guess this is a mini tour, but look, the Munstead wood is beginning. There's some frost damage right in the middle. And actually we're gonna plant these, so you'll see more about that. But first, I'm getting distracted. First, let's go get that hibiscus in the ground. So it is quite warm. I don't know if you saw me dripping with sweat. And I think I only have about 30 minutes of light left. So I will quickly walk you through what I got planted, some stats on the perennials. Let's start with the ones I planted last, which I love, love, love these. I added in 1, 2, 3 Petticoat's Peach Geum. And let me tell you, I don't even need to show you the picture because I've got real life flowers. Now, they start out like this, and it's just beautiful with its edge, and then they open up a little wider and become more frilly like this. This guy is just covered. I've been wanting to add a couple geums to my yard, but I hadn't seen them in garden centers around me, and then I saw these the other day and said, yes, done. And I think this is going to be a really pretty space for them. They're not very tall. They only get about 10 inches high, and they will get 10 to 16 inches wide. So I think they make the perfect plant for the front of a border like this. They're sun to part shade, so I'm really interested to see how they like this spot. It does get full sun, though like this one is a little protected. So I think they should like it. I'm hoping they like it. I might move them to the front if they don't. And they are hardy in zones 4 through 9. So I think at first I was like, oh, do I want to move them somewhere in the front? And I thought, no, I've been looking for something beautiful that's low growing to add to the front of this border. There's a lot of these things you see right here are actually daffodils that I'm going to be getting ready to cut back, except for this. This is iris. But I think it'll just add to this colorful show beautifully. My guess is these are spring flowering. My guess is they're flowering a little earlier because they were in the cans and grown on in a nursery. But I suspect they will be flowering at the same time as the Munstead wood. And I don't know, I mean, there aren't many flowers on the Munstead wood. There's a couple that you can see, including this guy, which I've left even though I really should prune. But they're just such a beautiful rose that smell so good. This is David Austin rose. And I think this kind of color combination next year is going to be fantastic. Okay, we've made our way back to the back of the garden. We were right there. Now we're right here, and you can see I would actually love to get chickens someday, but not at this current house. So these are the only chickens I have for now. And they're kind of tucked back here when you're visiting. But isn't this purple-leafed hibiscus just what this area needed? I cannot wait for it to grow to its full size. I think it's going to be so much better than the holly I had here, especially because it gets cut down in the busy season. And this purple leaf, I'm going to show it to you from the bottom again as well, is exactly what the doctor ordered. Now, this is a proven winner's hibiscus. It is a summerific evening rose, which let me show you the picture. I think I mentioned in a garden tour that, or when we took out the holly, that I said, you know, I think we want something purpley leafed here, maybe a hibiscus. But I wasn't going to pull the trigger this gardening season. It was just something I was going to think about. And then it happened to be my birthday, and I was walking through Lowe's, and they were loading these off the truck. And I said, okay, for $23, I will do that as a gift to myself. And we're going to move it up. And it hasn't flowered for the year. It was quite dry when I got it. I will admit that. So you might see a couple of like shrivelly leaves. We hydrated it as soon as we could, but I don't think it'll affect the flowering too much. And I think it'll be a lot happier now that it's out of its can and in the ground. So this guy gets quite tall. He'll get about 4 feet tall, and he could get up to 5 feet wide. So you might be looking at this and going, Hannah, that's a little close, isn't it? I don't actually think so. I think there's more than enough space here for sure. That should also preserve a walkway. And I think if we're looking on center, there's about 2.5 feet all the way around, except for this, which is a daffodil. So I don't mind that as much. So I think he's going to be beautiful here. I do want to walk around and show you him from the other side. Oh, okay. So it looks a little short right now, but I'm guessing it won't get its full 4 feet tall this year. But when it does, it'll just be a beautiful purpley block there. It looks great with the salvia. It looks great with the sedum. I think the Artemisia will make it pop too. I need to come in and cut back these daffodils. They're beginning to yellow, which means it's time. So that's something I want to do before I do my tour that I mentioned. But then we'll be able to see the Artemisia a little bit better. Oh, I love it. I am really thrilled with finding it. I think it's going to be such a pretty pink to provide some late summer interest. One thing I did want to mention, because my mom told me I should, the wood fence you see here is not actually my fence. The chain link fence is mine, the wood is not. So I know in a recent video it looked pretty awful because you could see that it is actually leaning because it is falling down. But it's not mine, so I don't really have control over it. But man, what I do have control over is this beauty. Hi guys, Future Hannah here. I actually think I'm going to end that video here. I did get one other thing done, but I wasn't able to show it to you guys, so I'm going to include that in the next video you see, which will be when we plant out the annuals and get flower seedlings in the ground. Right now I'm posting Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. So if you haven't already subscribed, please make sure to do so. You can turn on notifications so YouTube will send you a notification every time I post, or check back so you can see that video as well. We have a lot of stuff coming up, so you want to make sure you do. And if you enjoyed this, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button. I really appreciate you joining me in this video, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.